Hi friend, this is Pastor Lucas Pin and this is our snack for the journey. And this week we are in the letter that Paul wrote to the Hebrews. If you believe that Paul is the author of that letter, some people believe that not Paul is Barnabas, Apollo, and all the other people. Some people believe that no, it was Luke who wrote. But he was just taking notes from the Bible study that Paul gave, which is possible. They worked together for a long time, so that's a very good possibility. But we don't know who wrote. But it's a very important letter explaining the Old Testament and Jesus, how Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament and all that kind of connection between Old Testament, because he was writing to the Hebrews, trying to explain to them what was going on, and some Hebrews or believers, they were trying to go back to the Hebrew tradition and say, no, don't do that. Jesus is it. He is very important. He's the only one. We're going to see some of that today. So it's a great letter. And before I read the verse for today, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe to our channel and to share this video with your friends and family and help us to bless other people. So let's see the verse for today. Verse for today is chapter 10, verse 12. Look what he says. But when this priest, and let's talk about Jesus, when this priest had offered for all time one sacrifice for sins, he sat down at the right hand of God. A lot of information here. We don't have time to unpack the whole thing, but it's very important. What we need to understand here, and the author is trying to help the Hebrew people to understand what he's saying. That when this priest is talking about Jesus, had offered for all time one sacrifice for sins. And that is the key here. For all time. There is no more sacrifices. He offered one sacrifice for all time. The sacrifice of Jesus is the only one. There is no other sacrifice. You cannot sacrifice Jesus again. You cannot sacrifice yourselves. You cannot sacrifice anything else, an animal, or that. There's none. It's one sacrifice, and he offered. He was the one who offered for all time. It's not for some time, for the beginning, the middle, or the end, and it's for all time. One sacrifice for sins, and he sat down at the right hand of God. It's extremely important for us to understand, extremely important for us to believe that the sacrifice of Jesus is once in a lifetime. There is no other sacrifice that can be made that will put us in connection with God, that will save us, that will acquire forgiveness from God to us. There is none. Is only one sacrifice, the one that Jesus, the priest, the author wrote, offered, and once for all. That's extremely important for us to understand that. Because if you don't understand, you're going to try to fill the gap with, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to sacrifice this, I need to sacrifice that. Maybe someone else is going to sacrifice something else. There is none. There is no other sacrifice. Jesus offered the only sacrifice that matters, that can change, can bring forgiveness, acceptance on the part of God to us. And Jesus did that. And when he finished, he sat down on the throne. This is it. It's done. There's nothing else that we can do. That's great news. That's great news for you and for me. And this is our snack for today. God bless you.